guys, welcome to our second episode of WedChat. Today we have Jonathan Allison Photography.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Of course. He has been like my mentor and taught me everything I know since I started photography, so I'm very excited to have him on today. And I want to start us off strong with the very first question,
Sweet.
How you started photography and got into weddings.
Yeah, just jumping right in, I would say, photography really came at random for me. Like, it was one of those things where I never thought I'd be doing that. And, I was in a weird phase in my life. I was a 30-year-old guy, working as an accountant, something I'd be really comfortable doing the rest of my life. But it just never really brought me excitement. And I was going through a tough time at the time. My grandfather died. And he was the type of person that, he lived his life to the fullest. Like, he had no regrets when he died. There was no regrets whatsoever, not even one. So I was kind of sitting there in my office and I was just crunching numbers, like us accountants do. And
something I could never do.
I know, right? But it wasn't too bad. It was a lot of good time. But pretty much it got to the point where I was sitting there and I was like, I got to do something different with my life. And all my friends were having kids and I'm still, this guy was single, trying to figure my way out into things. And one day I was like, I need to do something. I have one life and I got to make it count. So one day I was like, I think I'm going to move. Where to? I don't know yet, but it's like, I think I'm going to move. I grew up in Arizona for a long time. I've never known anything else other than Arizona. And yeah, one day I was like, all right, I looked at the map on the screen, closed my eyes, pointed my finger somewhere and, landed on Dallas, Texas.
I feel like it's hard to wave your finger on a map and not land on Texas.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, it was kind of meant to be, but not really because Texas is just so big.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it was Texas. And then I was like, great. So this is cool. So I was literally like, told my boss, it's like, hey, I want to get out, make up some excuse of my family needs me, which literally had no family in Dallas, and told my boss that, and my boss is like, oh, totally get it. And I was like, are there any job openings out there? And he's like, yeah, there's one in Dallas if you want it, but it's a receptionist job. And I was like, oh shoot. So I was an accounting manager thinking about, okay, so if I moved to Dallas, I would be a receptionist, which is great. And I loved it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I was like, as long as it gets me out, as long as it helps me pay my bills, I'm good. So he called in a favor from a boss out there, and he came out, and the boss is like, can you get here in a week? And I was like, all right, I'll do it. So literally packed everything that I could, told my family, which was crazy because they didn't believe me. And then had to tell my roommate at the time, like, hey, I'm leaving.
You're on your own
So
now.
you're going to your own. You got to find yourself a roommate. And then, just drove 16 hours to Dallas. And when I got there, insane. I literally didn't have the, most amount of money or anything to kind of survive on. And I was living in Dallas trying to figure it out. And then there's a neighborhood I was in, literally the first night I was there, my neighbor got arrested. And I think there was bed bugs there.
Oh, no.
It's just unclean. It was literally a hole in the wall, and then all I had was literally a sleeping bag, and then I had my clothes, and then I had a TV and my Xbox,
wow.
And that's all I did. That's all I need. And I was there for a whole year, and I literally didn't buy any furniture because I was like, I don't know if it's going to be my forever home and stuff. So I'm sorry, Dallas friends, but that's the truth.
People from Dallas are
But it was great. And then, so anyways, was like, okay, well, I need to start having a social life and stuff. And working my receptionist job, which was great, but, I didn't do a whole lot. And at the time, and I still am a big, Arizona Cardinals fan. I love football and everything. But in Dallas, obviously, if you're from Dallas, you're a diehard, Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, yeah.
And everywhere, every bar plays the Dallas Cowboys. And pretty much there was literally one bar I could find, and it was in Fort Worth, which was 30 minutes from Dallas, and drove out there, sat down, watching TV by myself. I was the only section I was watching the Cardinals game. Everybody else was waiting for the Cowboys game and stuff. And, as I sit in there, I ordered nachos and stuff and, the usual bar food, which is good. And this random person comes up and it's like, hey, can I sit with you? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It's cool. I was kind of shy guy anyways.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and it was great. It was really cool. And she wasn't even interested in like football or anything, but I think she was interested in just Asians. So luckily for me, it's like I was
there you go.
the only Asian in the bar, and the girl that likes Asian guys was like there. And then we kind of hit it off, and then we went out to coffee in the Starbucks, and then we went to her place and stuff. So I went to her place, and it was like insane. Like, she was living in downtown Dallas. She had she was living like in this high-rise apartment. Like, literally, it was insane. Like, all like her walls were like windows.
Oh, I love
and it's like out of a movie. And I'm sitting there like what do you do for a living and stuff? And she's like, I'm a photographer. And I was like, what kind of photography? And she's like, weddings. And I was like, nah, no, like,
no way.
No way. Like, there's no way you could be this photographer. And I was like telling her, I was like, well, can you, like, teach me, and I asked her to like teach me. And, for the year, literally, she taught me everything. She taught me everything about weddings. I remember the first wedding I did with her was like 400 people, middle of downtown, like very luxury. And I was freaking out. And I had this, for photographers out there, like, you wouldn't know this, but I had like a Canon Rebel.
The good old days.
The good old days. And pretty much, yeah, she was like, I'm throwing you in, and then you got to figure things out on your own. And it was like the best thing she could have done for me, because literally after that one wedding that I did with her, I could literally do an entire wedding from like beginning till end on a Rebel. Like, I could still do it now if I were to. I don't want to.
Right, exactly.
But honestly,
I'm so attached to my Rebel. I still have it.
I know, right? It's a good camera. It's a good, like, I always recommend that to like every new photographer out there who's just starting, who has never picked up a camera. It's like the best one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned all this stuff, and then I started learning with her for a year, and then of course, like, we dated and stuff like that. And then one day I was like, I don't want to be here, and I mean, I did want to be here, but at the same time, like, I was like, pretty much got to get fired from this receptionist job.
Right.
I know, which is kind of crazy, like, getting fired as a receptionist, but
how do you manage that?
It's a long story. It's something I couldn't share because it was a little insane, but nothing bad, guys. Nothing bad. It was really small.
You gotta stop showing up to work drunk.
Exactly. You could say it was that, but no. But anyways, so after that, I started also miss my friends who, all have kids, and I was missing like this like moments because they were like family to me.
Yeah.
And also, like, I was trying to find a way to kind of like end things, because it's like, like I felt like, the type of relationship I was in was more of like business based. I know it sounds really like weird, but
that's fair.
And it was love was there, but it felt more like a business, I guess, like relationship. And so I was contemplating going back, and then one day I was like, I'm gonna move back, and I'm gonna try this photography thing. And yeah, I told her, we broke up, and then drove back, and then started out like doing friends and family, and literally like posted photos online, and now here I am, and now I'm doing it for a living, which is which is amazing. But yeah, it's a long story, but honestly, like, if it wasn't for that one chance or one risk I took, I don't think I'd be where I am today. So I'm really grateful.
Texas changed your life.
Texas did change my life. And literally, like, I always tell people, everyone, like, I've only lived in Dallas for a year, but honestly, like, if it wasn't for that one move, like, I would not be the man I am today. So yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Are you a Dallas Cowboys fan now?
No way and never. I'm sorry to my friends in Dallas. Like, if you guys do listen to this, like, I could never do it. It's just way out. It's way too much. So
the Cardinals are in your blood.
Cardinals are in my blood. They always will be. But I do like the Steelers too. But Cardinals number one for sure. So
Steelers are good. I'm not big into football, but I do like Steelers.
Yeah. All right, good. Awesome. But that's my story. So sticking to it.
Yeah, we have pretty similar stories. I feel
all right.
like.
Yeah. What's yours? Yeah.
So it ties in a lot to how we met. Actually, yeah. I was doing photography before I was doing weddings. Started with just friends and family, that kind of thing. I kind of always had a camera with me, and it's a big long story as well, but the fun part of it is that I started deciding I wanted to try out weddings, and so I started second shooting for Kristen Henke, which
Yeah.
we're gonna have on.
Yeah.
We'll get to chat with her.
She's awesome, by the way. You guys will love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and she was really that one that first took that chance to let me second shoot for her and
That's
start
awesome.
teaching me.
And did you have any experience like before then?
With weddings? No.
Yeah. No way. None. Okay.
She said, I have this wedding in Flagstaff, and if you want to carpool and ride up with me and shoot it, feel free to join in. And I was like, pick me up. I'll be there. Let's go. And
awesome.
so, from there, I second shot from her for a few times. And then that's when you picked me up, which is a fun story.
Very fun story. Probably one that literally doesn't happen very often. A really rare situation that we had. But yeah. I mean, let me tell you this story. It's a little insane.
Yeah. It really starts with your side of things. So
it is started with my side of things. And like, I did not know Schyler at the time and everything like that. It was totally random. And but anyways, I was like doing weddings for a while. I've been doing it. I think I've been doing it for like a couple of years now. And I usually have, photographers and stuff like that I had. But I woke up one morning and I literally like was feeling like this crazy pain in my stomach. And the funny thing, like I thought it would never happen. Like something like that would never happen to me, by the way. So but pretty much like I woke up with stomach pains. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this, I've never felt like pain like this before. And then it was on my back and it was just like, couldn't figure it out. And then I kind of went downstairs and then I started like dry heaving and I was like puking and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like having headaches and stuff and nausea. And it was just like this mixture of things.
Just a mess.
Yeah, it was just a mess. And then I literally was like sitting there and I was like, shoot, what do I do? I'm like freaking out. I have a wedding like in a 2 or 3 hours. And literally like, I was thinking about, can I force myself? But like the pain was so bad that I literally was like in a ball, like in my bathroom. Like I just could not move. So I was like, okay, what do I do? And I started calling people down there. And then, but first of all, I had to call the bride and the wedding planner. And those two things was like legit, like the scariest thing. Like as a photographer, that's the worst thing, feeling as far as that you can do is calling them and letting them know, hey, I can't make it to the wedding.
Yeah,
and I'm like
literally
a plan B. And I called her. Well, I called my planner and my planner was like freaking out. She understood and everything, and I was like, I can't move, like this is really bad. And then I called the bride and I told her, and luckily she was like the sweetest person and she was really nice about it. Even though like after we got off the phone, like like the planner told me like, yeah, she's freaking out. She's
as you would be, right?
Yeah, which is totally normal.
It'd be weird if she wasn't.
Exactly. So I told her, I was like, okay, I'm gonna find someone. And then also I had a second shoot I was gonna be there, but she was like brand new also, like she barely touched the camera.
Yeah.
And funny thing is like she doesn't even do photography anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I never knew that.
Yeah,
That's
which is
funny.
crazy. From there, I was like, what do I do? I was like, Kristen, like, can you make it? And she's like, no, I have a wedding, but I might know someone. And then she gave me your information. And then she saved the day. Like, Schyler totally saved the day. And I was like, hey, like, this is the situation. I'm, like, hurting. Can you go? And then, like, my second will be there. Just kind of, like, like, work together to kind of, like, make it work and stuff like that.
I get this text from Kristen, like, hey, emergency situation. Can you be here? And I was like...
I know, so literally legit emergency. It was like last minute.
Yeah.
And so pretty much luckily she like saved my butt. I went to like the hospital. I mean like the ER or whatever. I think urgent care. And then they told me I had a kidney stone, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Is there anything you could do about this? And then it's like, yeah, we're gonna give you some some things to kind of help, but you're gonna have to pass the stone, and I don't recommend you kind of going out or doing any physical activity. And
then you showed up.
And I showed up. That's right. I was there like literally. I mean, I was an hour late, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Like I was literally in the morning. Luckily, it was in the morning. I drove myself to the like urgent care, and then like 2 or 3 hours later, they were just like, all right, you're good to go. You can go home now, but you need to stay in bed. Like you need to like, and then drink a ton of water. And I showed up.
I was shocked when you walked in.
I know, like, and they were too. My couple was too. No one expected it. I didn't tell anyone. I showed up and I was still like woozy, like I wasn't like 100%. And I barely shot my camera too. I think I was just like directing. I was just like, well, it's kind of like, you do this. and do
and
that.
that was the first time I ever met you too. You kind of walked in.
It was
like,
the first time.
Super fuzzy.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're
it was
like, hey, and I'm
insane.
Like,
it was insane. And the funny thing is, I still had like my urgent care, like, you know, like those wristband.
You did.
Like literally, it was like straight. I got ready, and then I went and everything, and I got there, and
I was so relieved when you got there though, because I was terrified. I had never shot a wedding myself before.
Right, and I didn't know. I you know, I didn't really know either. So it's like, it's crazy. But I thought, you know, like if two of them are there, they'll figure it out. They'll kind of manage it. But I'll show up just in case and kind of help direct. I won't try not to shoot, and then I'll kind of direct them. And then I mean, we made it through, and the photos came out awesome. And it was great too, because I mean, the couple were just like, oh my gosh, like this guy came out of the hospital that still showed up to our wedding day.
Yeah, exactly. So, which was crazy. Yeah.
So just so you know, clients, like, or, you know, potential brides out there, like, I will go.
Make it work.
I will die for you, pretty much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
well, and Kristen knew me pretty well at that point. I had second shot for a few times, and she really had faith, and, you know, I was obviously terrified.
Oh yeah, totally.
She told me, you know, you can do this. Like, you're ready. Yeah. I know you're ready. Just do it. And so similar to your story, I was kind of just thrown into it.
There, and I remember like you were awesome. Like honestly, like I would have never known you were just like new, like and like still like, you know, like starting things, you know, like getting things going. But yeah, you were great. You were great with people. Like you really did awesome job. You had a great eye. And yeah, I'm not surprised. And honestly, if even I didn't show up, like I think you would have been fine. So you would have freaked out.
I would have, but I was terrified. I was definitely nervous, especially because, you know, I had no idea this was happening until that morning. When I woke up.
Which is so funny because like in a weird way, it's like I never thought that would ever happen to me. Like I guess no photographer would ever think like, oh, that could never happen, you know. And there you go, it totally happened. But yeah, that's my story, and I guarantee you probably won't find another story similar to that.
Yeah, it's a little wild. This is the couple.
Yeah,
we had a great time.
That's right.
This was when the very first time I had ever seen anybody tell the couple to stop, like on their walkout and kiss. And I was like, whoa, that's wild. I want to do that.
It's a crazy thing, and now it's like so common. Like everybody kind of do that, but and expects to do that and stuff like that. But that was still that was like actually a really cool wedding, and we get to drive off, you know, like on a golf cart and get to see like other stuff.
First time
really
I ever
neat.
drove a golf cart.
Yeah,
because you couldn't drive.
I couldn't drive. I literally could not. Yeah, and the fact that even the nurse was like you shouldn't be driving, and you're lucky that you made it to the hospital. Like it was just insane. So
the whole thing was nuts.
Yeah,
when you showed up, you were definitely a little fuzzy, but I was so glad you were there. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could handle this. So after that, we pretty much, you know, shot together a lot. You really picked me up as a second shooter and taught me all kinds of stuff. Basically, everything I know, I credit to both Kristen and you. I mean,
that's awesome.
You guys really both made me feel like I could do it.
And we were talking earlier, like before we were recording, like you're good. Like your stuffs are good. Like if you need a photographer, Schyler right here, she's awesome.
If you need a photographer, Jonathan right here, my man.
Yeah, exactly.
Between the two of us, you'll get something.
Yeah, but she's amazing, and honestly, like I had no doubts. So yeah, and you were good. And then you even give me advice too. Like the other day, you'd be like, oh, you know, like we should do this, we should try this. You know, and I'd be like, that's awesome.
Which is
but
always
I hated
fun.
it. I hated it. I was like, don't tell me what to do. But at the same time, I was like, I get it. So I get it. But remember that one wedding we did together? We were like at Royal Palms. I can't remember who it was.
With Nicolette.
Yeah, Nicolette. Yeah. And then you were like, well, she wants to do this. And I'm like, no, we don't have to.
You're like,
we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And then, so, you know, we did it anyways. so pretty much it's like, you know, sometimes you kind of need that and everything to kind of like, you know, like get different inputs and things like that. But yeah, like honestly, I think you get to that point. I think that wedding was at the point where I was like she's good. Like she's ready to like do things her own way, do things on her own. Like she doesn't need to be second shooting anymore. Like,
yeah, it's funny because you and Kristen both at the same time kind of just stopped sending me second shooting, and I was like, okay, I guess it's time.
Because it's one of those things like I guess our goal as like, especially as photographers and photography community, it's like you want to build people up, but you can't put them in this position where they don't grow and they don't learn for themselves. It's like there's not much I can teach you at this point. It's more of like you need to implement this your own way, and then you got to start finding your own path.
You got to let them leave the nest.
Exactly. It's exactly like that. Like leave the nest, and every photographer knows that. And it's the same for you. Like as you grow and everything like that, you might already be there already, But like people that shoot under you, it's like there's only a certain point you can take them. But after that, you have to let them go. And then, you know, you bring somebody else to come learn with you. Like
except Danielle. Danielle, you're never leaving.
Yeah, except Danielle.
You're second shooting for
I haven't met you yet, but you sound awesome. But don't leave her. And you've been doing good. I mean, I've seen your stuff, so... Thank you. So you've been doing good, you know, and
try to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I don't want you to get so good that you're gonna be like better than me. And it's right. Like, what else?
I gotta stay in my lane.
It's like you stay in your lane. It's like, okay, I can get her up there, but just low enough where she can do it on her own.
You gotta keep some of the secrets.
Yeah, because if I kept you, honestly, I think you would literally been like, you're not listening to me anymore. Because you like everybody gets to that point where it's just like. You get to that point where I feel like I'm a little better than you, and then it's like it's like I'm not gonna listen to you because it's like I know more now, you know. So it's like one of those things. Like you get to the point where you kind of like balance it out, and then you kind of let them go, you know, like leave the nest and then see how they do on their own and stuff like that. Which
yeah, for sure.
You kind of took it with stride, and you've been doing awesome.
I knew exactly like when I stopped getting second shooting jobs from you and Kristen, I was like, they think I'm ready.
Yeah, they think I'm ready. Scared. It's exactly that. Yeah.
And it was at the same time too. It was like overnight. I was like, oh, I guess I got to start booking my own stuff.
It's tough. But scary. I mean, look at you now. I mean, literally, it's been awesome. And like, you know, I still follow your journey and stuff like that, and I still see like, you know, like some of the stuff you've accomplished and everything like that. And I'm like, hey, look at that. She's doing really well and stuff like that. So it's stuff that like I already knew. Yeah. But to be able to see it now, it's actually a really good deal and big deal and stuff like that. That's nice. Yeah.
I'm glad you're still creeping on me.
I still do. Yeah. I'll still creep on everyone.
Yeah. We haven't seen each other in,
it's been a while.
Like a year, maybe even more.
It's been a long time. A year. Well, like things have changed. I mean, obviously we both changed, but like, I mean, most of my weddings don't happen in Arizona anymore.
You travel a lot.
Yeah, I do. So it's cool. Like, it's insane. It's really insane, but I'm blessed. I feel like very lucky I get to do that. But I mean, I credit it literally to like just people in general, like people that I meet at weddings and, you know, referrals, friends, all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a little crazy. So now it's like, I would say like maybe like 30-40% of my weddings happen in Arizona, and then 60 of them kind of happen like somewhere else.
Yeah. And every time I look at your Instagram page, there's like a new state abbreviation in your bio.
People don't know where I am. That's the one thing. Like even my friends and family are just like, "Where are you now?"
Yeah,
and I'd be like, "Okay, so you posted you were in California, but I see on your story you're in Savannah, Georgia, or like you're in
Italy."
Italy, I know, which was insane. But it's crazy. But I love it because that's what I wanted. Even though like I'm super tired and I have like super jet lag because I've literally been traveling so much. The experience is so worth it, and I have my business almost exactly how I wanted, and it's changed my life, and it's been good. So I get to travel often, but there's two places that I always call home, which is one of them is Arizona, which is where I grew up for the most part.
Cardinals.
Go Cardinals for sure. We're not getting paid for the Cardinals.
Yeah, right.
Like we're not for everywhere they're at, but
sponsor us.
But honestly, they're a good team. And then I spend half my time like in Savannah, Georgia, which is like I always tell like my friends or my family, like I have two lives. I have my chill normal life in Arizona, and I have like my river rat like guy that like lives on the water and literally like fish and crabs like all day. So
two very different places.
Two very different, very different places. Two different lifestyles and everything, but I love it, and it fits me. If it's it fits what I love, and I like to be able to be in two places that I love, and so I kind of travel both ways. But it's nice. But I get to do weddings literally all over the country and all over the world now, so it's a blessing, but it's tiring at the same time. It's a lot of hard work.
Well, I remember even just like when we first met, you were always telling me, I want to travel. I want to like get these weddings in other countries and other states and travel and travel and travel. And I was like, you're crazy.
I know. And it is crazy still. Like, it's like, I don't even know how I get to do it. But I do love Arizona. Arizona is always going to be home for me. Like literally, like I wouldn't trade it for anything. So.
Yeah, I always say, we left our 9-to-5s because we didn't want to work 9 to 5, and now we work 24/7. Like that's
which
better.
Is crazy, but the best part, and it's so true. Like for people who own businesses out there, it's you work every day for sure. You don't have a day off whatsoever, but it's like you think about the alternative, and you're just like
being a receptionist.
Yeah, like being a receptionist or an accountant.
Yeah.
And no offense, but and I did love accounting, by the way. So, but it's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't trade it for anything. And now it's like I look at my life and I know like you know, the amount of freedom that I have in some ways to be able to make my own schedules and you know, a party for a living pretty much.
That's what I always say. Maybe I picked that up from you. I was always wondering where I got that. I get to party every weekend for a living.
Be able to party every weekend for a living is actually not a bad deal. And it has its ups and downs for sure. Weddings are really stressful, but honestly, like I wouldn't change it for anything. So kind of being there is, I mean, to be able to do this for a living is literally a dream come true, you know? So
definitely can relate.
But yeah, so like for people out there, like honestly, if you have a business idea or if you have a dream or anything you want to pursue, like give it a shot because it could literally change your life. So
yeah, and sometimes you got to just jump into it.
Exactly.
You got to just jump in both feet first.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you how I went full time?
No, you did not. I want to hear about this.
So I was working a part-time job at Joanne Craft Store. Real fun place.
Love that place.
I didn't hate it, but you know, it wasn't something I was passionate about. I was stocking shelves at 6 a.m. So not ideal. So one day I decided, you know, I want to try this photography thing full time. And I was second shooting for Kristen at the time. And decided, you know, I want to start trying to pick this up more. And I told my manager, I put in my 2-week letter and said, you know, I want to quit correctly so that if this doesn't work out, I know I can come back and have a job. And she went on this rant about how I'm not going to be able to pay my bills and how I expect to do that and how I'm going to fail. Yeah. And I just kind of was shaking my head. Yeah, okay. And so I, you know, left that conversation. I went into the break room and I took my apron off. I took my walkie-talkie off. I set it on the table and I walked out. I never even clocked out.
No way. If you're like, hey, it's putting in my 2 weeks. Me. No, they're still paying. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I walked out that day and really never looked back because she told me I can't do it. And I said, watch me. And that's pretty much where it all started. So,
and the thing is that sometimes people don't realize, like, some people out there kind of make you feel like this is the only job for you, or like this is like you need this, but really, like, you really don't. And if you really want something, you kind of work hard enough for it. It's one of those things where it's like you can do it, and sometimes you need that push. Sometimes you need to be like, hey, watch me. You know, the whole watch me, like, hey, you can't quit, and it's like, well, I'm gonna quit. And then it kind of puts you on like almost like a survival mode. That's like, all right, now I have no money, no income coming in. What am I going to do?
Yeah. But and I had dropped out of college and left my job. I was like, if this doesn't work, then what? Then what? It has to.
Exactly. But sometimes like having that survival mode, like that's where like your creativity and your work ethic really comes in because you know, like, you got nothing to lose. And also like, okay, I got nothing. So it's like, I might as well go all out into something that like I'm passionate about. And then, you know, if it doesn't work out, you can always go back, you know, to another, you know, job that you want to do. But like to be able to try it, it's the best thing. And
if you don't try it, you'll never know. You could have missed out on like
you could totally
the
have
career
missed out
of your life.
But it's great. That's awesome. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, haven't looked back since.
Now I like to, when I need something for, if I'm doing crafts or something, I walk in there and I'm like spending my money I made from wedding photography and I'm like,
Do you ever go like to that lady and be like, hey, get me this? I haven't
seen her.
Cut me this linen or like this.
Cut that fabric for me.
Cut that fabric for me.
I actually have not seen her since that day, which is wild because I've always wanted to go in there and be like, hey, I'm doing it.
I go back to my job and be like, hey, look at me now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but you gave up everything for a chance and it paid off. So
hit that like, hit that subscribe, and tune in for part 2. See you guys there.